Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of Taters. I'm here today to show you a presentation on an operating system upgrade. Right now we're running Windows and we want to move in a new direction. I'm sure all of you are interested to see what I've chosen for you this evening. I'm sure everybody is probably familiar and comfortable with Windows, but I want to take us in a new direction that I think could have numerous benefits and save us quite a bit of money. What I want to show to you today is Linux, and the Linux distribution I chose is Ubuntu, and what that uses is a operating mask called Unity. Unity is very user-friendly. It's very easy to navigate. You have a docking bar with all your programs on it. It's very great. And the great thing about Linux is that Linux is very resource-friendly. What I mean by resource-friendly is it doesn't use a lot of RAM. We don't have to have a super processor. We don't have to have some powerful graphics card. And the great thing about Linux on top of that is it doesn't use a lot of hard drive space. I'm going to give you a demonstration of a virtual setup that I have built to give you guys an idea of what Ubuntu looks like and how we can use it. So I've created a user for myself, and if you see, we have our company logo as the background. I'm going to log in for us. I'm going to click here. I'm going to enter my password. And it's going to log into the desktop. And as you see, the desktop is nice and set up with everything a user might need. And granted, each user might customize their desktop a little different. But I work in the finance department, so this is how my desktop is currently set up. If you can see, I have a link to my documents folder, a link to my download folder where I might download programs or important files, a link to the finance department folder. As you can see, I've got my documents in there. I've got the access to the payroll, the revenue, the purchase orders, and as time goes on, I'll migrate my data from Windows into this, so I'll have lots of more documents. I've also got some necessary bookmarks. Since I'm in the finance department, I need access to the bank account, so I've got Citi. And given that we're a potato company, I have a link to the FDA and potato crop report so I can kind of predict our spending. I also have a bookmark to Google. And just to show you, all you have to do is click on the link, and then Firefox is going to do the rest for us. Here we go. Opens right up to Citibank. Bam. Really easy. I know a lot of you are probably a little nervous about a brand new operating system that isn't Windows-based, but I promise you guys, Linux is very friendly. So what I was talking about earlier about the dock bar, having your applications right here, you have a very few user-friendly dock bar that click on a button. It's got, think of this as the My Computer of Linux. So it's got, department folders, reports that I've been working on, bookmarks, frequently used applications. Close that. So then I have files, which this is like the file explorer in Windows. Very easy to use, very easy to navigate. See, it's got your music folder, your video folder, publicly shared documents. So when we map out network drives, that where the shared folders and documents go, that's how an employee will access that. Then I've also, right here, you'll see these icons that kind of look familiar. They'll look similar to Microsoft Office icons. That's what's called Office Libre, and Office Libre comes pre-installed on Ubuntu, and it's free, and it's completely compatible with Microsoft Office. So all the documents that we had that are Microsoft documents will work in Office Libre. Another great thing about Ubuntu is it has its own software store. So anything that we're looking for that might be little or a niche piece of software, we go in here and we can look it up and we can install it. And a great thing about this is any software that we've installed from here, we can go and it'll update. See, it's already telling me I have an operating system update. I'm just going to click on that. And that's great thing. No more taking forever to install Windows updates. You just go in the Software Center, click Update, and you're done. So we'll wait for that to finish before I close the folder. And it's done. So, some of the software I've chosen to test out for you today that I think employees will need is Spotify. Studies have shown, and while I'm not an HR rep, studies have shown that employees tend to be more productive when there's music going. And I've noticed that, everybody has different tastes. So we have a corporate Spotify account that has individual accounts for each of our employees. And so an employee can just go in here. I'm a big Frank Sinatra song, so I'm going to type in Frank Sinatra. And bam, I can pull up some Frank Sinatra playlists. I can pull up songs individual, like Come Fly With Me, which is one of my actually absolute favorite songs. And then it just starts playing, and then I can minimize that in the background. Or actually, let's minimize it, and it stays open. Next, we have Geary, which is an email client. It's one I chose. We also have access to Thunderbird, and that's a great client. But as you can see, my work email is already set up in there, my Taters email, and I have access to all my email, my inboxes, and everything. So we won't have to worry about not having access to Outlook. Personally, Outlook tends to crash. Geary and Thunderbird are a little more stable platforms, if you ask me. Next, we have Osmo. And Osmo is going to be a great tool for our employees. Osmo is a daily planner. So I can go and I can put in a task, and I say I need to make a deposit. So deposit, I start a new task. I'm going to put, I hope if I spell correctly, deposit. Needs to be done tomorrow. So I'm going to double click on that. Priority is high, because we want to get that money in there. The category, and I say make sure bank deposit is taken by end of business 3/13. Click OK. Now I'm going to go over to the calendar. I'm going to click there, and it says bank deposits, and you can use it as a calendar. You can have contacts, you can have notes and tasks, and that's a fantastic thing. Next we have is Actual Document Viewer. It's a PDF viewer like Acrobat, so you'll be able to read your PDFs. Putty is a great thing for remote access. If you need to look at if the IT department needs to remote into our computer, or some of our more advanced IT-based employees need access to what's called the root. You type in root. Actually, we'll type sudo /I. And I'm going to type in the password for the root. So that gives me administrative privileges, especially since I'm the head of finance. And I can do some more advanced things that I couldn't do within the software. Do ls. Then next, I have our brand new antivirus system. And what's great about this is it's completely free. We worry about how much we spend on antivirus software, and I know Symantec can be pricey, and we've used that in the past. But no more. We don't have to worry about that. That's the great thing about Linux. It has a lot of free software. And I'm going to pull up. I just double-click on Scan a Directory. I pick whatever directory I want. Click OK. We'll click here. And it's going to start scanning the directory. So, and right here we have access to our trash can. I click empty on the trash can. And the great thing about Linux is it can be customized to however you want. We can put links to folders. We can put links to websites. You can put your most used applications here. See, and back to the antivirus, no threats were found. And again, this is completely free software. I'm going to pull that up. And see, this is like your control panel right here for Linux. It has everything you need, and the titles are pretty much the same: Bluetooth, display, brightness, appearance, and what have you. So next, I'm going to go into a PowerPoint presentation called Taters Inc., Our Operating System Upgrade. Potential Windows 10 issues that I know we might run into if we were to choose Windows 10 is that I know a lot of you may be aware of this and some of you might not be aware of it, is Windows 10 does not allow you to turn off Windows updates. They're automatic now. You can sort of delay the timing of it, but it's inevitable, and that can cause unforeseen issues if nobody's been able to test the update before it's been installed. Windows 10 is a resource hog, which could cost to more costly machines in the future because we'll need them to be top of the line to be able to handle the operating system. Also, Windows 10 could cause legacy hardware compatibility issues, thus leading to increased costs of having to purchase new equipment. Linux is very friendly when it comes to legacy hardware. Further issues is Windows 10 doesn't tend to play too well with AMD processors from my experience. And that would cause us to have to purchase Intel, which we all know is very costly. Windows 10 is also notorious for crashing after major updates. I don't know if you guys have it at home, but I have this one laptop that crashes every time after a Windows 10 update. Windows 10 also no longer has group or user policy, which can make it a little harder for our IT department to create user policies and user restriction rules. Windows 10 also takes up so much hard drive space, so much more than Windows 7 and 8 did, and that can cause us to have to buy more hard drives and whatnot. So all in all, it's just one cost after another. Things we're going to want to look at when we choose an operating system is cost, compatibility, and user friendliness. Obviously, we want our employees to be able to use this on a day-to-day basis without any headaches. We also want it to be able to work with Windows Server 2012 R2 in 2016. And then we have to think about the cost of upgrading and migrating our data as well. So that is, again, why I chose Ubuntu 16.44. Linux is freeware, so it's completely free. Linux is also compatible with Windows Server 2012 R2, 2006, and 2016, which means it can be managed by Active Directory services, so our IT guys can use their Windows software on their server to control our Linux boxes. Linux is very resource friendly. It doesn't use a lot of RAM. It doesn't need the latest and greatest processor, and it doesn't take up anywhere the amount of hard drive space that Windows does. Initial upgrade issues we're going to want to look at is making sure that we've found software replacements for each of the Windows software that we use. A lot of software makers are making titles that they normally make for Windows available for Linux. Not all of them, however. There are typically equivalents so that we can pretty much not skip a beat. We'll also have to make sure we have our data migration planned out so that we know what data needs to go where, what data works with what program, and what have you. Why Linux? Linux is extremely versatile, powerful, and carries no overhead costs. Again, it's very free. Most Linux software titles are free, other than the big titles, but I don't think we'll spend a lot of money on software. Linux is very competitive when it comes to security. In my opinion, Linux might actually be more secure than Windows. It has a lot of less issues. No volume license is needed, whereas if we had Microsoft, we would. Built-in App Store on Ubuntu, that's great. And Ubuntu 16.44 has an extended support date to 2021, and it's completely free. Whereas Microsoft is going to charge us a service contract to service our issues that extend beyond what our IT department's capabilities are. So, in conclusion, given that Linux is free, is it free? That Linux is free. Financial resources can be focused on servers for management process, meaning we can focus the big bucks where we really need it. It's resource friendly, so when we need to buy new PCs, we can spend not near as much money as we would if we had gone with Windows 10. And for the software that absolutely has to be run on Windows, we can build VMs, and that's very free because we just use VMware, we make a virtual Windows thing and run the software, and we're done. Linux is also extremely user-friendly, has less known errors, and it's less prone to upgrade failures. So when we go to do OS updates, it's not going to crash, or it's going to be very likely that it won't crash. And that is my presentation. Thank you, and have a nice day.